Hello and welcome to a brand new Heffy Doodle video. I'm Julia from Craft Room Adventures, and today I want to share this super fun beach-themed birthday card with you. First I want to show you the products that I will be using. I'm using GLUBERT. For stems I'm using Pandatastic Painters, the cute little pandas. And I'm using a Little Shellfish for most of my beach elements. So I'm using the present, the cake, the little crab, and also the house and some of the other elements. For the party hat, I'm using Silly Friends. Then Gull for the buoy, and Otter Side for the little shells, the little ball, and also some of the other like tiny elements. For my border dies, I'm using the Stitched Slopey Joes and Breaking Waves border dies. Heffy Doodle recently released Slimline border dies, but I don't own those yet, so I just used the regular ones and ran those through my die cutting machine twice. I'm using the largest of the sweet scalloped slimline dies and the second largest of the stitched slimline trio dies. I stamped all of my images onto perfect coloring paper by Transotype, and I'm using my Copic markers to color them in. For all of my grays, I'm using neutral grays. My darkest shade is N5. Then I'm blending that out with N3, just going over those edges. Then adding a little bit more of the N5 to deepen up the shadows. Then I'm blending that out with N1. And finally N0. For the white parts on my panda, I'm using also neutral grays as well as the RV10 marker. But I'm just going in with a little bit of shading with N1, N0, and the colorless blender, just to add a little bit of shading there. For my buoy, or all of the pink shades really on my card, I'm using RV19, then RV25, just blending that out, then RV13, and RV11. As my highlight shade, I'm using RV10. Going in with a second layer of all the same shades. For my brown colors for the house, I'm using E35 as my darkest shade. Just adding in along all of the stripes on the house, just to create some dimension there. Then I'm blending that out with E23. And finally E21. For my yellow shades, I'm using Y17, Y15, Y13, and Y11. And for my blues, I'm using B28 as my darkest shade, B26 to blend that out, and I'm showing the coloring of the bucket, but I didn't end up having room for that, but I just left it in so you can see the marker combination. Then I'm blending that out with B23, and finally B21. For my background, I'm using Salty Ocean Distress Oxide and a Slimline cloud stencil. There was a little bit too much ink on my brush on the right there, so I just tried to go over that just to slightly blend it out. And I'm just moving the stencil further down the panel. And if you don't have a Slimline cloud stencil, you can just use a regular one and just line up the edges. I did that in my previous videos, so you can go check that out if you would like. It's also on the Heffy Doodle channel. Then I'm just using some splatters of Salty Ocean just with some water. For my ocean, I'm using peacock feathers, just adding a little bit along the top edge. And for my sand, I'm using antique linen and tea dye. Just adding a base layer of the antique linen. And then adding shading with the tea dye. Then I'm just adding some splatters of tea dye and gathered twigs for some texture on my sand. Off camera, I also ink blended the edges of the scallop panel with picked raspberry, just so that I would have a matching pink mat for my background to go with the images. And I'm just using a tape runner to add my stitched panel to the scallop panel, and I added that to a slimline card base. I'm adding the borders on top of each other, and then just using a tape runner to adhere those to the background. Then I stamp my sentiment from the Little Shellfish, just using VersaFine Onyx Black ink. And now it's time to add all my cute little images, so I'm taking GLUBERT, and I'm just adding all the images around my panel. I just wiggled the buoy to go behind the water. And then I'm also adding the accessories to my pandas, so going in with the little party hats, the pinwheels, that's what they're called, I think. I added some foam squares to the back of my panda so that they would have some more dimension. And I wanted the center one, the like birthday panda, not to have a party hat, so I just removed the party hat and used an adhesive eraser to erase any of the like remnants of glue. And I'm just adding them to my panel. And then it's time to add all my additional little images. Now that my main images are down, I'm just adding all of the accessories to the card. The little birthday present, the cute little crab that's in the corner there, that's also, of course, bringing a present to the party. The little beach ball, and, you know, lots of little stars and shells just to fill up the scene nicely, the little scoop. And then I just used the remaining little shells and stars just to make sure it's all filled up nicely. I didn't end up having room for the bucket, like I said, but I will just keep that for a future card. Then I'm using the Nuvo Aqua Shimmer pen in glitter gloss just to add some shine to my images. All of the birthday accessories get a little bit of shine. I just love making birthday cards that like fit the season the person's birthday is in, so I think this is such a fun like summer birthday card. I had so much fun creating this. I hope you enjoyed this one. All the products are listed below the video, and I will also link to the coordinating blog post. I will be back soon with a new video, and until then, have a wonderful day. Bye!